I always wanted to go in the military. It was a dream of mine.
Her story is one of service. Samantha Belcourt grew up on military bases. At 17, she joined the National Guard. Army tours took her to South Korea and Iraq. A police ride-along nearly 10 years later would lead to her next passion in life.
A lot of the skills that you have in the military, especially combat-related, where, high stress and being able to control your adrenaline and different things like that, I felt would benefit me in that job.
Belcourt served in the Osceola Police Department in Wisconsin as a canine officer until a bigger city came calling.
Minneapolis was fun in a lot of ways because there was a lot of opportunity, not only to, different departments and whatnot within the city, but opportunity to help.
In a way, her story is symbolic of hundreds of other police officers who once proudly served a city that after what happened more than 2 years ago, will never be the same.
I'm really struck by just listening to your talk. You can hear the passion in your voice.
Yes.
Even now, which must be difficult then to look back on how it ended.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I can talk about it now without bursting into tears most times. But, at first, yeah, I would say probably one of the hardest things I ever did was send my resignation letter in and hit send. I mean, it was like an echo in the room, on the computer because you work hard for something and you push for it and you love it. And then, you feel like you can't do it anymore. And also, too, I think you feel like you're not wanted and needed. And, what you have to offer is not what they want.
A member of what was called the Community Response Team, Officer Belcourt worked drug and weapons cases in downtown Minneapolis for years.
Just tried to make a really good team about it.
It was really proactive police work.
Very proactive.
The morning after what took place at 38th and Chicago, her team mobilized to respond to nearly every rescue mission related to the riots.
Your profession, your life changed overnight.
Yeah, I knew that there was going to be a lot of anger, a lot of emotion, a lot of hurt tied to this video and to what happened. And I also knew that it was probably going to be bad for us. You could see the crowds coming in and people were angry, they were mad, and you could see the emotion from the people. And that was just on camera. From personal experience that that's going to be times 1,000 in person.
They're taking the stabbing victim away, obviously to try to get him to hospital.
In this incident, an Australian TV crew captured the crowds as Belcourt's team tried to get to 2 people who'd been stabbed.
Just a reminder to everyone, this is not Lebanon and civil war. This is the heart of America, and it's war on the streets.
We need to be able to get these 2 stabbing victims out, but the fire department and the ambulance couldn't get in.
So we're seeing someone being wheeled away.
Police had to pull a bleeding patient on a pallet through the protesters to get him to a hospital.
You're seeing a whiskey bottle just got thrown at the police there.
I mean, this is like a modern-day war zone, and that is as close to a civil war in Minneapolis as you will see.
More rocks and frozen water bottles would be lodged at Belcourt's team in the days that followed.
Cops are legitimately getting hurt. They're getting hit with bricks and they're getting knocked out.
Stay away, stay away, stay away.
In many ways, helpless to the lawlessness that seemed to spread.
A lot of the burning and looting that started happening was mostly on that second day and that second night. Even when we went in to go set up for the AutoZone fire, our vehicles and the firefighter vehicles were getting destroyed. Mirrors getting blown off, tires getting stabbed. They aren't equipped to be able to fight a fire while being attacked and assaulted. It's just not possible. So that was up to us to kind of watch their backs, but we were so outnumbered.
They can't kill us all!
Next to the AutoZone, there was a brand new apartment building that was being built, and it was this huge wooden structure. And my partners and I were on foot right next to the AutoZone. And we're like, oh, there's people in there trying to start a fire. They're in there trying to start a bonfire. And for about an hour and a half, we watched them build literally the perfect bonfire and start that building on fire.
And you had no choice but to watch.
All we could do was watch. We didn't have the resources and we didn't have the authorization to make any arrests.
They were the moments that led up to what many officers consider the point of no return and a message to the people of Minneapolis they could never take back. Comparing what happened to the vacant and now boarded up 3rd Police Precinct to raising the white flag in battle.
The person giving the briefing had said, well, we were just told to possibly, to get some of our personal effects out of the Third Precinct. They're considering giving the precinct to them as a prize. And we all laughed.
You thought it was a joke?
We're like, oh, God, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. There's no way. Tactically, it makes 0 sense.
So nobody thought this was a good idea?
Oh, no. And not only that, we honestly thought that it actually wouldn't happen. Someone has to have even an inkling up there to know better. And I don't know who made the final call. I'm not in the room. I wasn't there. But clearly that person did not know better. If you feel like you're losing this city, for them to just give them the precinct, it was like a huge loss. That's how it felt to me, like we had surrendered.
Surrendered more than just bricks and belongings, according to cops like Belcourt. She'd work just a few more weeks after the riots before turning in her badge.
One of the big things that scared me towards the end was that no matter what, it didn't matter if you went in good faith anymore. It used to be you went in good faith, you made a decision, you based it on your policies, following policies and procedures, you based your decision on trying to do the right thing, you based your decisions on the little bit of information that you had, right? And up until then, as long as those things were all included, no matter how it came out, for the most part, you were covered. But then after this shift, you start second guessing and you start losing that confidence that you had, being able to know that I'm a good person and I'm making my decisions to the absolute best of my ability with good intentions. And that didn't matter anymore.
Was there a moment that you thought this is going to be it for me?
It slowly had built up after the riots, and we were doing a detail downtown. He had actually been shot in the chest. And as we're trying to render him aid, the crowd's closing in. They're angry. They are, we're getting stuff thrown at us. Officers are rushing to help us hold the crowd back. Even the guy that we were helping was like, if he could have told us to get lost, he would have. We're plugging a hole in his chest, and he's just like calling us names, and the crowd is just angry. And so it was just kind of a lose-lose battle. And I think it was just another kind of like, okay, so maybe the large group riots are over, but it's not over. It just kind of kept going and going. There was no good you could do. Anything, your presence anywhere you were the worst person in the world. It just all kind of compiles in, and you have to question, like, is this for me anymore? Am I going to be good enough for this job anymore? And is this job good enough for me?
You could feel the hatred through the media. Mm-hmm. You could feel the hatred through social media.
Yep.
From friends, family.
The fallout also felt personal to Belcourt's wife, Lisa Bastian.
She's my hero, really. She's a lot of people's heroes. The last couple of years, it's been hard because I've seen her heartbreak and her experiencing the betrayal from the city and from the leadership and losing her career, something that she has been in for 15 years, was passionate about.
Something she lived for.
Yeah, and we lived for.
At the age of 40, Officer Sam Belcourt became one of hundreds to leave MPD after being diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder in the wake of the riots.
We had to make some really hard decisions on how is our life going to look now moving forward. Can we survive financially? Do we want to stay in Minnesota? Is this our home anymore? Didn't feel like home. Friends and family didn't necessarily support us as much as you would like to think. And we weren't just running away from it. It was finding happiness away from something that hurt so bad.
Belcourt has since joined her wife in business. Together, they operate a food truck in Arizona. Their time in Minnesota is short each summer.
It's been 2 years and you think, oh, we should be over it by now, let it go, but it doesn't work that way.
People forget that we're human beings. We're not just a uniform. And even though it's a career or a job, you put just as much, if not more, passion and energy and a piece of you into it than almost any other job. And a lot of careers and jobs do. But can you imagine somebody in a career having given a big portion of their life to build a company, and someone in accounting that you don't know, you've never met, steals some money from the company or something. And then the company says, and everybody says, oh, no, you're all horrible people. In fact, we would fire you if we legally could, because we don't want any of you here. We would literally fire every person in here because of that one incident if we could. That's basically what happened to us. That part of the explanation kind of gets lost. Like, why would you want to pour your heart and soul into something where they don't want you there?
Still, Belcourt believes it didn't have to happen the way it did.
The lack of leadership, the lack of decision making, the lack of resources made it a lot worse. I feel like we could have nipped it in the bud a little bit at the beginning had we been able to make arrests that needed to be made.
There's people have stormed down the barricades.
We're the ones getting our butts kicked every single day for days and days and days, and with no relief. There was more frustration and anger with the command staff and with the politicians running the show, whoever it was, than there was with the crowd.
And with what she says was never said when it mattered most, about so many with their own stories of service.
These are really good cops, and they try every single day to help this community, and they're brave, loyal, loving police officers. And there was nothing said. There was nothing. It was this silence. So the silence was louder than if they would have said something.